6:30, Columbus City Hall. The time being approximately 6:31, we'll call the meeting to order. Patrick, would you please take roll?
I will. Zapataki?
Here.
Harpart?
Here.
Hanson?
Here.
Monday?
Here.
Excuses Tome, Kenny, and Robbins.
Notice of open meeting has been posted. Would someone wish to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unfinished business, we have none. Number 7, new,
Sorry, Bob.
Excuse-
Minutes.
Yep, minutes.
oh, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I got ahead crossing stuff off. Thank you. Minutes from November 16th, Plan Commission meeting. What's your wishes?
I move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now unfinished business. None. New business. A, consider recommendation for the request for U.S. Cellular, Todd Anderson, agent, for conditional use permit to erect a cell tower at 455 South Ludington Street. Would you like to make any comments, Todd?
Just answer any questions. I know that Jason had some comments, and I think that we did address those with the drawings, that he wants some clarification. And is that, I don't know if you've spoken to him yet or brought them up to speed? Okay. But I think we've addressed all the concerns that the city had with the proposed site, and I can just answer any other questions that anybody has.
Were they addressed on the drawings at night? Okay.
Yes.
That explains things.
Yeah, because it seems like we got a lot more information this time around than we did before, which is good. More information is better. So. Jason, you got any comments?
Yeah, sure. Let's see, take a shot here to update. Thank you, Plan Commission. Just to kind of go over my letter, Todd had mentioned that things were addressed. Item number 1 was related to the driveway setback. They obviously have revised that and will address that. Number 2 is that the proposed access drive shall be asphalt per the ordinance. They said that there's no issue. They have updated that. Number 3, I think, was probably the biggest contention that staff and I had, and that was essentially just kind of the alignment of the fiber optic electrical lines that will run into the back of this property to serve it. There's an existing interceptor sewer, sanitary sewer that runs down this corridor. After review, it was kind of determined what they had shown on the map. I don't doubt that it was in the right location, but how it was connected, I think our configuration on our maps show a little differently. I didn't coordinate directly with their engineer, but essentially the discussion we had was that they don't want their lines on top of our utility as much as we don't want them. So the idea was that we would be working during the installation to make sure that we maintained a separation, and that if we had to cross the sewer, which I think we do, we would do it as near as a right angle as possible. And that was our biggest concern, just in case something happens down the road where we'd have to make a repair. We're not digging through or immediately under their fiber optic line, and like I say, they didn't want that either. So that was just kind of a mutual understanding of identifying exactly where the utility is and making sure that it gets installed properly. And then the other couple items on here were just acknowledged, that they would be addressing. I did not have any comments under the zoning code, which is section 114. And I just wanted to clarify that, because although there are a few things that would typically apply for a site like this, because it is a cell tower, they have their regulations. And I believe that our code cannot be any more restrictive than what the current state regulations are for the towers. And I did confirm that with the city attorney, and he did point that out. So I had ran a few things by him, and he said, no, I think that the state regulations will govern that over our code, because we were being more restrictive. So just a little point of clarification why you didn't see anything coming out of 114 on this. But we did look at it kind of holistically from impact to utilities and some of the other ordinances that we felt applied, so.
The only thing that I had a question on was on that fence line that comes back from the backyard there. There's several feet allowed, and then there's that stick. Was that the survey stick at the corner of the lot? Or was that what the line that comes across from that sewer down that lot line from what street is that, School Street?
I do not know specifically because I wasn't actually back there, so I don't
Okay.
know what stake you're talking about.
Because what I'm wondering too is that physically, there's gonna have to be some room for trucks to back in and do their work so that they don't encroach on that property line by the fence, because there should be some lineage on the outside of the fence too, that fence is right not on the property line.
Correct, and according to the scale on their plan, I would guess that it might be 10 or 15 feet from fence to fence. So there'll be a separation between the existing fence on the back of the property and the new fence being put up.
Large enough to have a good enough workspace to,
Yeah, no, I think so, and obviously our interceptor sewer does run through there, so that's we'll obviously need to maintain working distance for, in the event we'd have to do a repair or something, but at
Right.
this point, they do meet the fence setback requirements, per the code, even if it did apply. In this case, it doesn't apply because it obviously is the cell tower application, so, I felt, and I don't think staff had any comment, that we needed any more separation than that, so.
okay.
Commissioner Kenny isn't here, and I'm not gonna dwell on this real much, but it seemed like, and I can't speak specifically for him, but it seemed like his main concern was that all of the items on the application were actually either submitted or shown to be not applicable. Patrick, I'll just ask you if you were able to give that a thorough rundown, and I just wanted to close the loop on that particular standing question that he had.
We took a look at that after that last meeting. So, great, thank you.
Anybody else got any questions, concerns?
I think the only thing I wanted to maybe clarify would be, I know that there were no comments regarding to the zoning code, and the state regulations of applying. Do we know, or can we just kind of bring out maybe what some of the differences are, and if there are anything that's really material in what the differences between our zoning and what the state would be zoning? I'm not really sure I entirely know, but is that, and I guess I'm really talking about something, anything material differences that would be applied to the two.
The items that I had identified when I had pulled in the first review for section 114, there were some requirements in the city ordinances that pertain to fences. For example, there's a part of the ordinance doesn't allow barbed wire to be on fences in residential areas. In this particular case, they are for security. But again, that's something that wouldn't apply. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think we're gonna have, it's separated from the park by a creek. It's up kind of in the wooded area. I don't see that being an issue regardless. Some of the other things that applied out of 114 were, there were some requirements of all federal and state permits that had to be submitted to the city. Now, I think they need those anyways, although they're not physically submitting them to us per our ordinance. So again, I didn't have a whole lot of concern about that. There are some free fall zone analyzing or submitting, and I know they have to do that as a requirement as well, but it wasn't something that, and I looked at the tower height and the fall distance and stuff, and it seemed to be separated from anything, just common sense wise looking at it. So there's a bunch of those type of requirements that the city would normally, under our ordinance, require. But again, there was also some screening that was required, but in this particular case, they have plantings around the fence, so I felt that was adequate. The fence height was regulated, I believe, to not more than 6 feet in the current code, and I think they're at, were you at a 9-foot fence, 8 foot?
think 7 with
7?
3 strands of barbed wire.
Yeah, so it was 7. So I mean, again, it was just little stuff that I was picking up on, that our code would have probably, just tripped a comment. But, I didn't see anything here that was egregious or, flying in the face of what we would have, as far as a concern, related to what our code would have. So I think those were, hopefully to just kind of point out a few of them. I don't know if that's all of them, but it kind of covered what I had wrote in pen here on my plan set that I didn't put in the letter.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Jason. We've got a lot more information handed out this time than we did the first time, yes,
And I
Todd.
want to correct that, I was wrong, it is a 8-foot fence with 3 strands of barbed wire, total of 9 feet, is what we're proposing.
Thank you. Would somebody want to make a motion that we grant a conditional use permit for cell tower at 455 South Ludington Street?
Also move.
We have a motion, somebody want to second it?
Second.
And a second. So,
And I guess just maybe to clarify, were there any conditions on anything, or was everything, everything was resolved?
I think everything pretty
Jason?
much was
Okay.
resolved with what Jason had in his letter that they went over with staff and himself. To my
Okay.
understanding, if I'm in error, please correct me.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a motion, and we got a second?
I seconded.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? None. Okay. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for the special meeting, I appreciate it.
And, well, this was something new. We wanted to make sure we got all our Ts crossed and Is dotted, so.
And then is there a meeting next week then, correct?
This will go as recommended, to the council, which is Tuesday night. Yep, regular agenda, 6:30.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Patrick?
Local development activities update. I don't think there's a whole lot, anything new that I've shared in the last couple of months, just that Fromm and Drexel keep rolling along with their building and development. I believe that I, in the past, mentioned discussions with Plant Plus on the relocation of their operation. They're close, but we're still, I think they have a few more hurdles yet to overcome. So maybe next month we'll have a little bit more to talk about there. Otherwise, I think that covers really the bigger points. I guess another thing to mention that will have impact on our local development efforts is the gentleman sitting next to me, who we've hired as our new Director of Planning and Development, Matt Schreiber. And I've talked with him about what's been going on, including our interest in looking at the comprehensive plan. So we're aware of our interest in getting started and looking and revising that. So I would expect the new year to bring some energy and focus on that project for us. So I'm happy to have him.
Glad to be here.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
With that, concludes what I have for you
Okay.
tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else got anything for the good of the commission?
I was just gonna ask, now that 6016 is open, I've been going up and down there, and I thought about the old countryside place. Is there any update on redevelopment there?
Well, that's owned by the city and slated as a future fire station. So we're kind of in the phase of looking at our needs, looking at our financial needs. So we may be a few years off there, but it was an opportunity for us to acquire the land. I felt at a very favorable cost, so we have it. There are a couple issues that the city's looking at in terms of potential use in the interim, just storage issues and some others that like to utilize inside the building. We just need to wrap our heads a little more around the utility question. We had it last year, but we want to kind of establish a pattern of what the true costs are if we want third-party groups to go in there and use it and make sure that the city's covered in terms of those expenses, so. But it's still there, and the fire department still needs to expand their space, so we're striving towards that, but it's a big undertaking.
Are they intending to use the whole tract?
What's that,
All
the whole
that's
property?
there?
At this point, yes, we're looking at that, but absent, a look at it through an engineer or an architect and what the true needs are. So if there's, we won't use more than we need or less than we need.
Ed, Mike, any? Okay, number 8, move for adjournment.
So moved.
A motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all for making time today off our normal schedule.
Okay, now that he's done, I just got one other thing I put on the bottom of my sheet, and that was to wish everybody